support your campaign. Then the second important thing is when we start with the cause, there are a lot of distractions. First of all, we need to focus what exactly we want to do, and then connect with the right like-minded people. Because there are many others in the world who are doing something similar to what we're doing. And so it's important that we don't reinvent the wheel. We kind of collaborate, we share information, we exchange information, and then everything is there on social media. LinkedIn is I personally found LinkedIn as a very, very powerful tool. Many of my friends and folks, they told me that it's very boring, but it's actually it's the most business-oriented thing that we can do, and we have almost everyone. I started my venture with a few months old, in fact, and I can say today whatever I could achieve, it was all thanks to Facebook and LinkedIn. So I would say network, network, and network. That's my suggestion for all those who aspire to do something.
And social is people to people, so networking is intrinsic to social and social media.
Absolutely.
Social media only brings people together in an easier manner. Okay, we're still struggling to get your slide up, but tell us, because we are dying to know what should we do.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna always start. I always start with just being habitual in your doings, basically doing it. It doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to be every hour every day, it just has to be consistent. And basically don't disappear off the face of the planet to put like an update once in like a month kind of thing. Probably second thing is definitely talk like with each other, definitely talk like a person, and because regardless of whether it's a brand or it's a person behind, you don't want someone, when someone gives their thoughts or likes or comments whether good or bad, you don't want a response that sounds like a robot gave it. And on the top of that, interact with the people, so like whoever your audience is, that matter, interact with it and definitely enjoy it, because you can tell when you don't enjoy something as much as when you do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If I'm not forgetting anything.
What we request you to just tweet out that last slide if you can with hashtag. Oh, it's coming on, it's coming on. Yeah, here it is. So cool. So cool.
Okay,
Thanks.
Like I said, if I forget my stuff, I end up drawing it. How to be a social media pro and still have a life, because that's what I thought would have done. I had to give up something to start something. But it's not the case. It basically becomes a habit, and once you do, you don't actually have to spend that much more effort, doing the social media things that you have.
I can't wait to show such a slide to a cloud computing expert. This is how we do it.
Let me see I'll pick a platform. So I believe, I'm not sure if, I don't know, it works for me, but limiting platforms helps me in terms of, I prefer it just having a strong presence in a few, or one, or whatever it may be, rather than spreading yourself too thin over everything from Vine to whatever the other ones.
Less is more.
Pictures is a device, because I love pictures. I'm like, even if it's someone's face, I absolutely love it. Respond and connect, and enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. Link as in when I just started, I was really awkward to put my link on most of my drawings, or all of my drawings for that matter. So when my first illustration went out, and it got viral, it was funny because my sister who's abroad messaged me and said, hey, this looks like your drawing, and I'm like, it is my drawing. And then I realized it's very hard for someone, and when I see a drawing, or for that matter, a poem or a story that I like, I would love to see who the author is. And I realized it was not only patting myself on the back and tagging myself on it, but almost a form of information that people need to know. So I feel like you have to kind of put your link or your name on certain pieces of work that you kind of do.
Okay, we have time for a couple of audience questions, and we have this wonderful bestseller, the one you cannot have, and guess what? It's just a question away. Any questions? Mike, nothing like that gamification to get the audience going. Who's going to have the one that you cannot have?
Hi. Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Abid. My question is for Ityashree. How did you promote such serious art? Because I guess for drawings that Alicia does, I think it would be much easier to make them viral because people would be finding them cute and would share it. How difficult was it to promote such serious art?
It was definitely not easy, but you know, despite being an engineer and with a supply chain background, I did a research on the art. I studied art history for quite some time before getting into this venture. And I started talking about the research that I did. I started talking about the traditional motifs and the, you know, a simple thing like, you know, a Chinese, what do you call that, the lucky thing. You know, yes, and everybody loves it. A laughing Buddha, everybody loves it. So I started talking about a fish in a Madhubani painting, what it means. And that kind of created that interest, why it has been used for so many hundreds of years. So that kind of interest building, you know, again social media helped me create that, build that audience. Again, next time I spoke about something similar. So it took me some time, definitely. It was not so easy. But then yes, it worked.
Another question?
Hi, I'm Yohani. Preeti, could you tell me, is it important to respond back to your people who comment on your blog? I mean, is it necessary to read their blog and comment on their blog? Because as a blogger, if I feel vulnerable to be influenced by their work, if I don't want to read their blog, like, would it help me to spread my work?
See, the thing is, the main thing here is one has to be genuine. So if something has genuinely moved you, then you have to have the courage to go out there and, you know, either appreciate the person or, you know, tell the person what you felt. Because, you know, when you write a blog, it's all about, especially if you're writing a personal blog, you're writing a personal experience, it's all about courage. And in my initial days, I remember I was interested in the content which people had to share. Even to this day, when I read a blog post, if I find the content interesting, I always leave a comment. Because I think for bloggers, comments are like currency. I have not monetized my blog. You know, for me, my blog is like my virtual home. So I don't put ads in my home. Why will I put ads on my blog? You know, that is my business. You know, for me, my income comes from my books and from my writing. So as far as your question goes, I think if you find the content interesting, if you're genuinely moved by something which someone has said, then leave them a comment. That will be nice. Then they will probably come back and read what you wrote, and it is interactive. And again, it's not that, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, that kind of a thing. It's not, it doesn't work that way at all. But I think yes, it is important to respond to comments. It is important to interact, because after all, that is what a blog is all about. What would a blog be without its readers anyway? And how would you know that someone has read unless they have left a comment?
And just to add to Preeti, as a human touch, if we respond and, you know, there's an interaction, it makes it more dynamic in nature. It's not a one-way communication. So.
Another question? Yeah, right there. Can we have a mic, another mic ready for the next question, because we are over time and we can take maybe two more.
Hi, I'm Subramanian. My question is for Preeti. Actually, one of the posts that you made in the recent times, it was like how to become a writer. In that, you had mentioned a line: read anything, everything, or nothing. Write anything, everything, or nothing. Right. So, being a blogger, I wrote something. I was like moved by that thing, and I wrote something like nothing. Like it was a black sky, and I started writing about it. And it was very difficult for me to communicate to people like what it was. I mean, I wrote the blog, but people were like, what is this? Why is it like this? Why do you have to write like that? So what do you want to tell about that? Why do people comment like that?
So I would just say that you haven't found the right readers yet. Because everything you write is not going to appeal to everybody. I have written so many blog posts, so some of them are obviously going to get more comments. If I write something which connects to you, you know, that's basically, you know, what a blog post is all about. If it connects to a lot of people, you'll get a lot of comments. And if it's just it's like modern art, you know, you can take one white painting and put one red line and call it modern art, and you know, it sells for millions of dollars. But no one knows what the hell it is. So it's like that. So maybe your post is too intellectual for people to understand.
Another question? Yeah, there's a mic back there as well. Can we have another mic moving there? The last two questions, and then you catch all our speakers on social media and.
Hello there, my name is Saraswati. How do you effectively handle trolls?
Who was the question for?
Whoever's.
How do you effectively handle trolls? So you mentioned it earlier. You had a problem of trolls? People coming and kind of spamming you and troubling you?
A few, but usually most of the time they end up just being one thing, so I kind of leave it. But if someone, there was one fellow who started messaging all the girls and, friendship kind of one.
Friendship.
I had to try to leave it because everyone was responding saying, what the hell is this kind of thing. But most of the time it's usually good amount of time protection.
You have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, my question is for you read the books.
Who's the question for?
Preeti, sorry.
Preeti, they want the book. Preeti, they want the book.
So actually I want to understand, see when we write blogs or tweets, we're pretty much in isolation. We write on a daily basis of what's impacting. For example, you started writing motivating quotes and positive thoughts after your personal impacts to your life.
Can you speak up a bit, please?
Yeah, how did you translate all of that to become a book? I didn't quite understand that journey because blogs and tweets are quite isolated within themselves. And a book is pretty...
It gets completely different from a blog. So it's just the consistency of blogging helped me. My first book was a compilation of my popular blog posts. But my second book is a novel. For my second book, I did a lot of research. I researched for 2 years. I was based in the UK at that time. I spoke to a lot of people. I read up like crazy. The amount of research I've done to write that book is quite something. So yes, while it gave me a jump, the rest of the things I had to climb the hard way.
So you wrote actually?
Absolutely, yeah, you have to write. The book won't write itself 100%. Write word after word for it to become a book.
So it starts with a passion and then it takes hard work, consistency, openness, responsiveness, and finally it's be social. And you can turn a passion into a business like these wonderful ladies here have done. Thank you very much.